Hello everyone, welcome to British Columbia, the language school. So today I am going to do line by line explanation of the poem Telephone Conversation, that is for students of class 12 ISC. So before I start, I would ask all my students to please take out your pen and paper so that none of your point is missed, and these points will be helpful for you while you will write your answers in your board exams. Okay, so I hope that you have followed my instructions. Now let us come to know about the poet. So the poem Telephone Conversation is written by a Nigerian poet, Wole Soyinka, as you can see the image. So this man, he was a great playwright, a novelist and an essayist. And one thing about him that made him very popular, that he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. And he was also the first sub-Saharan African who was honored in this category. Now let us talk about his themes. Why his themes were so much admired and why he won this prize. Actually, his poetry is often described as a powerful and serious agent to social change. And his themes were concerned with the promotion of human rights, African politics, and they had a deep felt compassion for the human condition, which he observed during his time. So this was all the brief info of the poet Wole Soyinka. Now let us come to know the poem. What does it say actually? So this poem Telephone Conversation is a poetic satire on the present, or what should we say, on the existing racial discrimination in the modern Western world. So this poem is in a kind of dramatic dialogue between a white landlady and a black African man. Alright, so this is what briefly we have discussed about the poem, and it also highlights the theme of racial prejudice and the absurdity of this kind of racism or discrimination. Now let us read the text and do the explanation. The price seemed reasonable, location indifferent. The landlady saw she lived off premises. Nothing remained but self-confession. Madam, I hate a wasted journey. I am African. So the poem begins with a conversation between the speaker who wants an apartment on rent and a white landlady. And their conversation is something like the speaker is all agree to have the apartment on rent because the price is affordable to him and the location he does not care for. The most important thing, the landlady claimed that she does not live on the premises. So everything was good, but there was one problem, and that was self-confession. The speaker wanted to confess something. Therefore, he said to the landlady that, Madam, I do not want to make any trip to see the dwelling and then being rejected for something. So he said that I am an African, and therefore I just want to tell you that I do not want to make any such journey, so that I go there, I see the dwelling place, and then I am being rejected for my skin color. So this self-confession, which is ironically used by the poet, as if the poet had done something wrong for which he had to admit, for which he had to confess his guilt. Though it was not his guilt that he was an African, he was a black man. Still he had to confess it. So self-confession is very important to mark here because it is ironically used. And this is what he told the lady. And this line also suggests that he had many such previous experiences. Therefore, he had to make it very clear in the beginning. So as soon as the man said these words, silence. Silence, transmission of pressurized good breeding. Voice, when it came, lipstick coated, long gold rolled, cigarette holder pipped. Caught, I was foully. So as soon as the man uttered these words, he disclosed his racial identity. There came a complete silence. The lady became silent. She became all silent. As if she was pressurized, she was stressed. The lady, who was so far appeared to be well bred, of good breeding, Now she was unable to say a word, as if she was trying to hide her deep-rooted racism. And after a long pause, when she said something, when the voice came from her, it was lipstick coated. Lipstick coated means she wanted to appear, she wanted only to sound good. Though she was not literally good at that time, because she said something which was very hurting and which was full of her obsessed mind for the color of human beings. Therefore, the word lipstick coated is mentioned here. One more thing, the speaker also guessed that the lady was holding a cigarette holder, which was gold plated. Whatever he guessed, because they were not talking face to face, they were on phone. So the voice, when it came, it appeared as if she was a wealthy lady. So this cigarette holder, or the gold plated cigarette holder, is a symbol of her wealth, her riches, and her upper class status. And this lady got peeved, she got annoyed, as if her whole energy of discussing the dwelling, discussing the price and other things got wasted, because she cannot give any apartment on rent to any black man. Caught I was foully, and the man, this African man, found himself in an unpleasant situation, as if he was caught. Here the word caught is also ironical, because it suggests that the speaker was caught for that guilt which he had, which is not in his hands. Being black or white is not in one's hand, it is all the God who has given us such colors. Yet he felt as if he was caught for this guilt. Now, what is important to know, what was the word that the lady had actually uttered that put the man in an unpleasant situation? How dark. I had not misheard. Are you light or very dark? Button B, button A. Stench of rancid breed of public hide and speak. Red booth, red pillar box, red double-tiered omnibus, squelching tar. So the lady had actually uttered something which was very, very hurting, very painful, or which showed her biasness, racial discrimination. She said, how dark are you? When she heard that the man was an African, so she, as if she was trying to mock him by asking his skin color. And the speaker very clearly heard that she was asking his skin color, and she further made it very clear, as if she wanted to know whether he is having a light complexion or a dark complexion. And from this word, are you light or very dark, the speaker thought as if she was giving him the choice, the option to select button B or button A. If he chooses the wrong button, she will not give him the rent, the apartment on rent. So she put him in a very confusing state. And now here one thing we have to mark. Now all those words of the lady are printed in bold letters. This shows her superiority. Bold letter, as if she was of rich class, of an upper class. She had a good status, and she was also feeling herself superior to him. So this superiority is reflected in the words of the poet, how he has written this. And when she said these words, the speaker guessed that she was not a good breeding actually. Earlier he thought that she was well bred, she was from a good, she was a good behavior, good natured lady. But when she said these words, when she mocked his racial identity, the speaker felt as if she was, there was a kind of foul smell that was coming from her words. Stench of rancid breed, rancid, something very foul, unpleasant kind of smell that came. And he further mocks, he further highlights the lady's kind of engagement in the conversation by using a pun. he says that she was engaged in public hide and seek, as if the lady was engaged in a kind of hide and seek. There is a game of children where they hide and find each other. So the lady was actually hiding her racial prejudice, which was deep rooted in her, but she was only trying to sound good. So she was playing a kind of game with him, trying to hide her real racist feeling, but she could not completely hide it. So there is a kind of the rancid breed where he had used it. It's a kind of metaphor for racism that was underlying her good breeding. And therefore he says that she was engaged in a kind of hide and speak game. She was hiding her racist feeling and she was speaking in such a way, not clearly saying that she's not going to give him an apartment, but asking him, if you have a light complexion or a dark complexion, if you have dark complexion, I'm not going to give it to you. Means she was still trying to appear good. And as soon as she uttered these words, the speaker felt it very bad, and then he started looking his surroundings. And what all the things he noticed there? He noticed red booth where he was standing. He was talking to the lady on from the telephone booth. So this is also the setting of the poem, where the poem has been set. So he was standing in a red booth. He saw him around him. There was a red booth where he was standing, and he also saw a kind of red mailbox and a red double-decker bus. So everything around him was red in color, which was suggesting the man's anger. The repeated word red suggested the kind of the height of anger the man had in his mind to hear the words of the lady. And this red booth also limit his position. He felt himself to be confined in a kind of situation that he was unable to do anything, because this was everyday affair that the black people had to face such things. So there are double meanings with all of these things, which here this line is very important. You have to mark it: red booth, red pillar box, red double-decker bus. This repetition of the word red is showing the height of anger that the speaker had in his mind. And here also we find the setting of the poem, that he is somewhere in Britain and in a red telephone booth. And then when he noticed all of these things, what he found it was real. Then he thought of the reality. Yes, this was the reality of the people. They still had prejudice in their mind. They are still so much biased for someone's skin color. Though they were living in 20th century, they were living in modern Western world, yet their mind were very narrow. Shamed by ill-mannered silence, surrender. Pushed dumbfoundment to beg simplification. Considerate she was, varying the emphasis. Now the speaker felt ashamed for not being able to answer immediately, and he thought it to be ill-mannered. His silence seemed to be ill-mannered to him only, and he also thought that his silence is a kind of submission, surrender. And he was dumbfounded. He was quite silenced. He was quite shocked to hear the words of lady. Though he was very shocked, yet he asked for simplification. He asked the lady to simplify her question. Considerate she was, varying the emphasis. The lady seemed to be considerate. Earlier she was appeared to be considerate to the man because she was talking very well before knowing the racial identity of the man. And now this time she was only increasing the height of her racism. The more she was thinking, the more she was increasing the height of her racism. So when he asked for the simplification, to simplify your question, she again repeated the same word. Are you dark or very light? Revelation came. Now the speaker says that the lady finally revealed her racial prejudice. Again she repeated that, are you having dark complexion or very light complexion? That means she wanted to ask him if he is a black African or a white African. Now, you mean like plain or milk chocolate? The speaker himself clarify. He clarifies by mocking the lady. Oh, you mean am I a plain or milk chocolate colored? Her accent was clinical, crushing in its light impersonality. So the lady agreed, yes, she is asking for this kind of clarification, but this time her accent, her tone was quite bitter, cold and impersonal. Rapidly wavelength adjusted, I choose West African sepia and as an afterthought down in my passport. So he quickly adjusted his wavelength. Now, on hearing the lady's understand, when he understood the lady's deep-rooted racist feeling, instead of feeling humiliated, he started mocking the lady. He started confusing the lady and said that he is a West African sepia. Sepia is a reddish brown color. And he said that it is also endorsed in my passport. The same color is mentioned in his passport. Silence for spectroscopic flight of fancy till truthfulness clanged her accent hard on mouthpiece. Now, when the man tried to confuse her, the lady became silent because she could not understand what is West African sepia. So she was lost in her thoughts as if she was trying to imagine the different colors of the skin. So the word spectroscopic is mentioned here, which is a kind of device that differentiate different colors on a beam. Even after that, when she could not finally guess which color he was talking, so she was this time became very bitter, very harsh, and her tone became very, very harsh on his receiver. And she asked, what's that? Conceding, don't know what that is. Like brunette. So when she was so much confused, she asked in a very harsh tone, what is that? What is that sepia? I do not know. So the man simplified saying, it's like brunette. While West African sepia is like a dark brown color. And now, he was saying all these things just to confuse the lady. That's dark, isn't it? Again, all the highlighted words, bold letter words are showing her superiority, and she has finally understood that the man was having dark complexion. So, in a very irritated manner, she got irritated, frustrated, and she said, okay, you mean that it is a dark complexion? You are dark complexioned man. And the man, because we have seen that he had faced many such experiences in life. Many times he was mocked for his racial identity. So this time he was not going to surrender easily. He was trying to actually mock their deep-rooted racist feeling. He says that not altogether. No, ma'am. It's not like that. I'm not altogether dark complexioned. Facially I'm brunette, but madam, you should see the rest of me. He says that my face is like brunette, dark brown, but he's just mocking, he's using humor, satire, and a witty word he is using. He says that, madam, my face is brunette, dark brown, but if you see the rest of me, the palm of my hand, soles of my feet are a peroxide blonde. He's further mocking and confusing the lady by saying that his palms and his soles of the feet are peroxide blonde, yellow hair. And peroxide is it is not natural, it is dyed here. And these blonde means yellow hair are associated with white ladies, and it is also a symbol of white femininity. So he's actually mocking the white lady, landlady, that his palms and his soles are just like your color. He was just trying to mock the lady. Friction. And when he was saying all these things, when he was just confusing the lady, he heard the friction on the receiver, as if the lady was trying to hang up the phone. And he says that, foolishly, madam, by sitting down has turned my bottom raven black. He says that even my bottom, if you see, my bottom has turned raven black as crow. Why? Just by sitting down. Because I sit all the time, and that's why my bottom has turned raven black. Now we see that the lady was not even the least interested to talk to the man, neither she was interested to rent him her apartment. One moment, madam, sensing her receiver rearing up on thunderclap, the lady was just trying to hang up the phone, and the speaker also sensed it. So he requested the lady not to hang up the phone. He says that if you will hang it up, it will be a catastrophe. About my ears, madam, I pleaded, wouldn't you rather see for yourself? And he further clarifies his skin color. Further, he mocks the lady's racial prejudice. He says that, madam, if you want to see my ears, or if you really want to judge me with my color, so why don't you come and see me? And here you see the last line is incomplete, which shows that the lady has simply hung up the phone. And this is the point where we get a very powerful message from this poem, that it is a reminder that our words and actions have the power to either uplift or demean someone. So through this poem, Volshoenka challenges us to confront our own biases and prejudices and to strive for a more inclusive and compassionate world. That's all for today's analysis of Telephone Conversation. I hope you gained a deeper understanding the poem's themes and messages. We'll see you soon in another very important video and another very interesting one. Thank you.